Shri Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha Agajanana Padmarkam Gajananam Aharnisham Anekadam Tam Bhaktanam Ekadantam Upasmahe. Welcome to all for this session on Ganesha Purana to chapter 44. So, in the last chapter, we have seen how the armies of the Demon Tripura and the army of Shiva fought with each other. Initially, gods had an upper hand, and later, in spite of the fierce fighting between the demon and Lord Shiva, at the end of it, the demon had an upper hand, and all the gods have fled from the spot. Nobody was ready to fight with the demon's army. After seeing the flight of his army, Lord Shiva decided to retire from the battle and he went into the cave. Behind him, Lord Kartikeya and all other gods also went into that cave. Feeling himself victorious, the Jaman Tripura decided to abject Parvati from Kailasa. But at that time, Parvati ran away to her father's home and asked for a shelter. Her father, Himavanta, had put her into a cave which is inaccessible to the others and known only to him. And after not seeing Parvati in the spot, the demon Tripura has decided, and he went into, while he is wandering in the Kailasa, he saw the statue of Chintamani. And since Kaladhara has asked him for that Chintamani statue, and the current battle is also happening because of that, he took away that Chintamani statue. But while he was returning back to his city, somehow that statue of Chintamani simply disappeared from his hand. Considering this to be an inauspicious omen, so he decided he simply returned back to the city empty handed, disgusted that he could not able to capture the Chintamani. On hearing this story, Vyasa asked Brahma, after Tripura had defeated him, what did Shambhu do to the victorious demon Tripura who was filled with victory, and how did he do it? Brahma continued the story. After that, while thinking about the state of the earth now, that it was without a sacrificial formulas called Swaha and Swadha, he experienced several mental anguish, and he wondered, when will the gods be able to live in their own abodes without having been oppressed by anybody else? Why that? Why what? By what means can he be defeated? By what means can Lord Yaman Tripura be defeated? When he is really so difficult to defeat, while he was suffering anxiously in this way, excellent sage Narada, who had gone to visit the gods, unexpectedly came upon Shankara. When he saw him, the god rejoiced ecstatically because Narada would always be having some solution to every problem. So Shankara rejoiced ecstatically. He thought he were a mortal who has just gained immortality, and in accordance with the ritual, he honored him once he had accepted the prepared seat. After he had embraced him, yet still suffering terribly from anxiety of defeat, Shiva spoke to Narada, seeking the welfare of the gods and the killing of the demon. So Shiva asked, the powerful demon was undertaken the destruction of all the gods, and in battle with him their confidence was broken, and they all fled away in all directions. O Brahmin, I do not know who is where. Also, he broke my weapons into 1,000 pieces with his weapons. After Narada heard Shiva's speech, the excellent sage spoke to him while musing on the great wonder of the defeat of Shiva, who himself is the Lord of triple world. So Narada told him, look, You are omniscient, the Lord of all knowledge, the protector, destroyer, and controller of everything. You are capable of producing something, undoing it, and changing it. You possess the eight kinds of magical powers, such as smallness and so on. There is Ishatva, Vashitva, like this Anu, Anima, Garima, Lagima, Pratima, Ishatva, Vashitva, like this. There are eight siddhis. So Shiva is a possessor of all those eight magical powers. And you enjoy yourself through the six supernatural powers. What can I say to you? I'm just a sage who is devoted to music and wanders continually over the triple world. Whereas you, God, you are the most eloquent of all speakers. Still, in consideration of your request, I'll speak to you by I mean he wanted to speak to Shiva with a pleasing voice as much as possible and not to show his arrogancy that he knows everything more than what Shiva would be knowing, because at some moments even the people with a great knowledge would have simply faltered at some spot which they have ignored. So Narada wanted to bring out the same thing. After he had said this, had thought for a moment, the sage Narada addressed Shiva again. In your eagerness to go to the battle, you neglected to worship Gajanana. In fact, in the beginning, he remembered Gajanana, he remembered Ganesha, and then went into the fight, but not a proper worship of Gajanana. You know, a proper worship of Gajanana means following the message that is embedded in the image itself. In consequences, you are defeated, O fire eyed Shiva, because there is a fire in the third eye of Shiva, a holder of Pinaka. But now, after first worshipping Vignesha, who wards off all obstacles, propitiating him and gaining a boon from him, go diligently into battle. You will conquer the demon. Have no doubt about it. At this point of time, some people may be wondering, considering the worldly families that we are having, Lord Shiva happens to be the father of Gajanana, but then why Lord Shiva need to preach worship? Why Shiva need to worship Gajanana? That is the speciality of the Shankara's family. We see often in the stories of the family of Shankara, where the Lord Shiva himself worshipped Gauri, and the Gauri herself worshipped Lord Shankara, and both worshipped their own sons, Lord Ganesha and Lord Kartikeya, or the other way, Lord Ganesha and Kartikeya worshipping their parents. That is how exactly a family is supposed to be. Incidentally, by will of some unknown force, two human beings, one a man, another woman, came together and became husband and wife. And then came the children. They are also individual beings. Somehow, by the wish of unknown, they are born to them and because of that reason, the first two people became parents with their children, and the children have made their parents, and the parents in future make their children. But in the fact, they are three or four or many individual beings who came together. So it is natural that even though Shiva is the father of Lord Gajanana, he has to worship Gajanana. Brahma continued the story. Previously, the demon propitiated the Lord God Ganesha with great austerities, as a result of which Vignaharta gave him the boon, except for Maheshwara, nobody will be able to kill you. Accordingly, mountain dweller, with one single arrow, you must split open his triple city, which moves at will. Ganesha has declared this as a means of victory. After Shiva heard the Narada's remedy, he became immeasurably happy And once he had heard the words that Ganesha had previously spoken, he addressed the sage. You have spoken the truth, O Brahmin. Because of your speech, I now remember that once in the past he taught me a mantra, O sage, which included a 6 syllable and a 1 syllable mantra, both of which take away all difficulties. But because my mind was entirely occupied with fighting, I neither recited nor recollected those 2 mantras of Gajanana, who is the remover of all obstacles, the cause of everything, the creator, the protector, and the destroyer. Now I recollect those mantras. The sage said, Mahadeva, you must please great God Gajanana. Then, dismissing Narada, after Narada left the spot, God Shiva left to perform austerities at a spot in Dandaka forest. Dandaka is a famous forest which was a very dense forest spreading over Maharashtra and Karnataka region in the southern part of India. He recited the mantras while sitting in the lotus position, and then, having restrained his senses by the force of his meditation, Shankara performed a fierce austerity for 10 years. Utterly absorbed in meditation, then out of his lotus mouth there came a superior man who had 5 faces, 10 arms, a moon on his forehead, and he was radiant as the moon. On his shaven head there was a garland. He was ornamented with serpents and then adorned with bracelets on his upper arms as well as with a crown on his head. Moreover, he was concealing himself with 10 weapons, the splendor of which was like that of a sun, fire, and moonbeams. Overpowered by his radiance, the god Shiva saw standing before him the fierce Vinayaka, who had 5 faces and 5 mouths. Indeed, he was another Shiva himself, because Vinayaka took the form of Shiva himself. On seeing him, the god Shiva conjectured, have I become double? Or was Tripura came here in my own form? Or is there another amongst the 33 myriads of gods who has 5 faces? Or else did I watch him for a long time in a dream and was Gajanana come to give me a boon? I am going to meditate day and night on the God who remove every obstacle. After hearing that speech, Dhiradanana, who appeared before him, said, I am the Lord Vignahara, who you have contemplated in your heart. Brahma, the gods, and the sages do not know my real appearance. What is my real true form? Now he appeared in a form that resembles Shiva. How much less those who do not know the Vedas, the Upanishads, and the six Shastras. Vedas and Upanishads and the Shastras are the source of all the knowledge, but even they cannot explain the real form of Parabrahma. I am the creator of the entire world, its organizer and its destroyer. I am the Lord of all those moving and unmoving beings, beginning with Brahma, who are comprised of 3 qualities, the 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamo gunas. And I am satisfied with your austerity, O Lord Shiva. I have come here to grant you a boon. Mahadeva, choose as many boons from me as you wish. Thus ends the 44th chapter of Upasana Khanda of the glorious Ganesha Purana, in which, after the defeat of Shiva in the hands of Lord the demon Tripura, Narada appeared before him and told him about that he did not propitiate, he did not worship Lord Gajanana before going for a fight with him, fight with the demon Tripura, and that is the cause of all the all the problems, all the obstacles. And after hearing this, Shiva remembered the single syllable and the six syllable mantra of Gajanana, and with that he performed the austerity for 10 years and had the appearance of Gajanana standing before him, granting him the boons. Namaste Sharada Devi Kashmira Puravasini Twamaham Prarthaye Nityam Vidyadanancha Dehime. Namaskar. Bye.